Okay, we have so much to talk about. Chapter 12 is expected to release on Saturday, which is 2 days from now. And there's so many things I have kind of like sleuthed through the internet for to try to figure out. We have information like leaks and stuff and hints about Chapter 12. We also have what's coming after Chapter 12 and what's going to happen to Piggy, because that's a huge question, right? Because if Chapter 12 is the final chapter, is this the end of Piggy? Are we done? And I'm going to go over all of those things in this video. But without further ado, let's actually just jump right on in to talk about what exactly what has been leaked. What do we know for sure about Chapter 12? And the only thing we really know is this screenshot right here. And I know it's kind of like, what does this even mean? But this is going to give us the first really good hint / the first only, and as far as I'm aware, the only leak about where we're actually going to be having this entire thing take place, which I don't know. I can't really tell. I'm wondering if you guys have any better ideas. I still think there's a good chance that we're in a lab of some sort. I still am going to put my kind of like my main guess on it's probably a lab, but I'm not really sure. If you guys have any ideas or if you know anything else about it, please do let me know in the comments below. And speaking of comments, let me quickly just go ahead and feature these comments from the last video where I was going through a Piggy scam obby. Why would they do that? But anyways, thank you very much as always for your comments. I always do enjoy reading them. There are a couple of goofy ones, but for the most part, I enjoy reading them. And of course, if you want to be featured in the next video, you have a higher chance of being featured if you're in the first hour, and then I might choose like 1 or 2 outside of that hour as well. So feel free to comment afterwards too. There's still a shot. But anyways, let's get back into the whole speculation stuff. So location stuff aside, there is one thing that is kind of floating around that has been leaked on Twitter, and Minitoon posted these 2 emojis. Now, you might look at those emojis and be like, okay, and I don't know. I'm assuming that this has to do with the fact that it is like an actual proper map hint, like the next location. And it seems to be dynamite and a thunderball or a lightning bolt. And so this to me is kind of weird. I do think it is gonna be a lab, but I'm not really sure why TNT and lightning is there. I'm having a hard time. I'm wondering if it's maybe like a Frankenstein sort of thing going on, or if there's something else happening where it's gonna be like the ruins of a laboratory or something. But honestly, this has kind of got me stumped. So if you have any ideas about that, try to get those in before it comes out, because it's really cool whenever you get those guesses right. So definitely do try to get those in. Now, with everything else out there, we don't have anything else that seems to be concrete about Chapter 12 and any leaks that have come out that are substantial in some kind of major way. The only other thing that we know about Chapter 12 is actually about the ending. So we're gonna switch gears now from kind of like the map speculation over to what actually is gonna happen in the content of Chapter 12. So the only thing we know for sure is gonna happen in Chapter 12 in the ending has to do, well, we don't really know for sure, but we know it has something to do with these 3 things. Now this is actually from Antics. He has a YouTube channel, he's another YouTuber, and you should definitely go check out his video where he interviews the maker Minitoon of Piggy. The maker of Piggy, Minitoon, there we go. But go ahead and check his video out, because there's a bunch of other information in there too. But he leaves ants with a couple of really interesting things as clues. And he says, "Thank you, I'll be watching this shortly. Here are the words: stay, illusion, choose." Now, I'm going to loop back to this whenever we go back to like the proper speculation, but I want to get through the hard facts first, because I know a lot of people just like, I want to know the main information. I want to know what is concrete, fam. I get you. Don't worry. I got you. But anyways, bear those in mind. Again, those are the words: stay, illusions, and choose. And this has to do with the ending of Chapter 12. Not what happens during probably as much, but what is going to happen after, or at the very end. So like at the very, I guess, conclusion of this volume, as I'm calling it. Now, with that said and done, again, that's actually all we know about Chapter 12 in terms of leaks, hints, and things that have been officially leaked, as far as I'm aware. If you know anything else, again, let me know in the comments below. But the last things that we need to talk about is actually to do with what happens with Piggy now. So for some people who still don't believe me, yes, this is the end of Piggy for now. Miniteam has confirmed this a number of times, but the really big thing here is that we're actually looking at a situation where he's saying that he's going to be working on some stuff with IKEA, who's helped build some of those maps and stuff that you see in Piggy. In addition to that, there's going to be a definite break from all Piggy content. So it's not like he's just going to be like, oh, well, you know what, just kidding, I'm going to go right into Piggy 2 or anything like that, or Piggy Volume 2, whatever you want to call it. It seems to be the case that it is going to be the end for at least a while. So we're gonna have to find some other games to play, and I'm definitely gonna be keen about trying some of those other games that are floating out there, but that does seem to be 100% confirmed. He is gonna be working with IKEA whenever that thing comes out. I do not know, so that should be something kind of fun and interesting to look forward to. The other thing that was mentioned was actually the fact that there is a chance that Piggy Volume 2 or something else will happen. The end of Chapter 12 is not meant to be the perfect conclusion that wraps everything up, and I know that's gonna drive me crazy too, because I'm gonna have to sit there waiting like, what happened? Like, what else is there? I have so many questions that are still unanswered, but it is something where we're going to be left on at least a little bit of a cliffhanger, it seems, which is kind of a bummer, but at the same time, it leaves me hopeful that we're going to actually get a Volume 2, but it is dependent upon whether or not people are interested and stuff like that, but he does want to take a break. So, you know, Miniteam's been working on this, churning out content, and especially with them moving house and working with IKEA on their project, I can understand why he wants to take a break and he wants to maybe shift gears for a little bit. So that's kind of cool. That's kind of neat. But it is going to be really sad to say goodbye to that. It's going to be tough. It's going to be so tough. But let's see. Okay, so other than that, let's get now into the speculation. Oh, and of course, as a reminder for the people who didn't watch the last speculation / like information video, he did confirm there's a game mode coming after Chapter 12, so there is something else to keep everyone kind of engaged with the game, even after we've kind of ended the official chapters of Piggy Volume 1. So bear that in mind if you're kind of curious. There's also a 100-person mode. I haven't really messed around with this or know too much about it, so let me know if it's fun, because I honestly haven't messed around with that at all. But okay, so that is all the information I have. If you have any other official pieces of information or something that's like for sure confirmed as either a leak, a hint, or whatever, do let me know in the comments and share, because I want to know. I like having the jump on things, you know? I like kind of knowing what's about to happen. It's kind of exciting and fun to guess and see like, oh, was I right? Was I wrong? So definitely do let me know in the comments if you have any inside intel. But other than that, we have ourselves the speculation. Now, for speculation, I don't have too much to build upon. I'm sticking to my guns. I'm saying I think we're going to be in a lab. I really hope that we're working with Mr. P, although there have been rumors that Mr. P is the final boss. I'm really hoping that's wrong, but there has been some kind of like, you know, the rumors have been stirring around. I haven't heard anything official, so I'm still hoping that Mr. P is on our side, but there does seem to be something about Chapter 12 that makes it different from the other ones, so I'm assuming there is going to be like a potential boss or something that's going to really mess us up and kind of throw everything off balance for what we normally expect from our gameplay of Piggy, right? So there is something I think that's going to throw a wrench in our plans. What that is, I have absolutely no idea, but it should be interesting to see. Now, for everything else, I do think that the actual 7 like alpha infected, right? The 7 ones, like what was originally thought to be the 7 potions, and then maybe it's like the 7 potatoes or whatever the case may be. But there's a bunch of different things that are floating around now. I'm not super sure about exactly who is going to be on that final roster, but I still think that we are going to see Mrs. P. I can't shake that feeling that we're going to see Mrs. P. And the real question now becomes, well, how does this work with like George and Penny, which is, you know, Peppa, but Penny, right? How is that all going to work out? I think, and this is a huge I think here, I kind of clarified this a little bit more. So last time I kind of left off on this idea of, well, maybe it's the case that like, you know, George is not really the main enemy and stuff, and I think that kind of confused people. So here's the main thing. I think George might be infected. He might not be aware of his actions and all that stuff. And he is one of those like the alpha infected who kind of goes between understanding what's going on and not, but because he's young, he doesn't really get it. So he's just kind of like, oh, you know, this horrible stuff keeps on happening. But I think the other alphas kind of know what's happening now, and it might be something that they kind of like teach each other. I'm not super sure. But here is the big thing. Everyone's like, well, why not Penny? Why isn't Penny the main villain, right? Because a lot of people are just like, oh, I think that the sister Piggy may makes a lot of sense, and that's possible. But the thing that I'm hoping for is that I'm hoping that Penny isn't the enemy, and I'm hoping that the chapter title was called Distorted Memory, right? I'm really, really hoping that Distorted Memory is an indication that this is actually George having his memories of everything twisted, the events not quite right. And I think if that's the case, we have a really good shot of that linking towards the hint of illusions at the end of chapter 12, because I think it's not going to be quite what everyone expects. I think there's going to be a little bit of some kind of bait and switch. Now, with regards to what actually happens at the end of chapter 12, right? We have illusions, stay and choose, right? I think we're going to be able to decide if we choose whether or not to stay behind and help fight the infection, or if we're going to leave for, you know, a quote unquote safe place. And so I think that that choice is going to be the main part of the ending of chapter 12. And I think the illusion part is going to refer back to George's distorted memory that is supposed to help kind of build up that lore. So that's what I'm thinking is going to happen. That's what I'm hoping will happen, because I think that sounds so interesting, right? Because like if George has parts and pieces, like yeah, his family went off to go to volunteer for the experiment, but maybe there's something else that he's forgetting. There's a missing chunk of his memory. Maybe Penny actually ran away from George because George was actually the one that was infected. And so maybe Penny is not actually like truly infected. I don't really know. There's a lot of questions about this, because to me it doesn't quite make sense that in the end of Distorted Memory, Penny walks away. That doesn't seem to make a lot of sense in how he shows it. Like, I feel like George had remorse. Like he was sad that he's like, oh no, Penny, come back. Like almost like he did something wrong. So I'm hoping that that's what's happening. I'm hoping that George is going to be one of the alphas. I'm hoping that the alphas are going to call back to a lot of our previous loved characters. I'm going to be so mad if Bunny's evil. But either way, I am hoping that we're going to get some really cool things going here. I don't think we're going to see cures. I don't think it's going to be, since it's not the end officially, I don't think we're going to see like everything resolved. I think there's going to be some kind of threat that will loom and linger afterwards. But so I think we're going to just have to wait. We're going to have to play it out. We're going to have to see. And hopefully we figure it out. And hopefully we kind of get a little bit of closure, at least with these characters. And Volume 2, maybe it's going to end up being that we start working to distribute the cure. Maybe we can rescue, like, if like your favorite character is infected, maybe we can rescue them maybe in Volume 2. That'd be kind of cool if we can distribute the cure and it's actually us looking for the infected but fighting through, because we can only cure like maybe the alphas and stuff. But anyways, let me know what you think about my crazy theory down in the comments below, and of course share your own thoughts. It's of course worth extra bonus points if you get it before it's out, because it doesn't count when it's out, fam. But anyways, appreciate you all. I'll catch you all in the next video. Ciao.